Sue asked me if I would be the speaker that night. And I went, no. And she said, yeah, I'll be up there with you and we'll do it together. And I said, okay. So this is the story I told. It was true then and it's true now. I was working in nursing, and well, maybe back up a little bit. I was in my car and I was sitting at the stop sign across the street from Unity. There's that little playground, and I was sitting at that stop sign and I was looking for traffic. And I said, Sue Baggett, you know what? I'd like to meet her. And then I saw the time of day for the service, and I said, well, you know what? I can make that. So I came, and it was like on my birthday or that birthday week. And I remember seeing Sue. In those days, she walked up the side aisle. She'd come in those double doors and walk up the side aisle. And I was sitting on the edge of that aisle. And she was wearing a beautiful black shawl with stars and the moon on it. And I went, oh my God, I know I'm supposed to be here. And I cried and cried the whole service. And afterward, I stayed after and I talked to her, and she was she was a light in my tunnel of darkness. And she started seeing me every week, counseling me. She saw me weekly for over a year, I think 18 months. And she saved my life. Sometimes we forget our blessings, you know.
So what's your favorite word?
My favorite word, dream. Dream. I have a spirit guide. I read Sonia Choquette and Suzanne Giesman. I have a spirit guide, and I went through the process in her book, and I found it. The name of my guide came to me. It was almost instantaneous, and it happened exactly the way she said it would. I just went, oh my gosh, that's it. And her name is Cloud, and she sits usually right here on my right shoulder. So I guess that would be my favorite word. Or the other one, not runner up, but equal, would be Abby. Abby Road, my dog. My dog.
Your precious dog.
Who's actually here right now with us. I can sense her. She's here now. She's with me everywhere. Yeah.
Don't cry, dry your eyes. Can't you hear the angels calling me out of above? Can't you hear the angels calling me home? Me home.
sometimes we forget our blessings, you know. So
I'm going home.
is sort of a funny gathering. Jessica doesn't want you to be sad. Jessica wants you to be happy. That was my feedback. My guitar mic works. Test, test. I'm on. Anyway, be happy. Jessica's here with us. No question about it. Her spirit is alive. She's sitting right out there somewhere, and she has on whatever hat she decided to wear that day, and whether or not she decided to bring Abby to church or not. But she's looking around, seeing what's going on, see what she can comment about. And so please consider this whole celebration as something that she would want and something that we were very happy to give her. Sure. When I get to heaven, I'll probably shake your hand, make some stupid joke about me barely getting in. I want to cast a line and climb up high in that oak tree to see if I can finally fly. But before I do, Lord, don't get me wrong, there's a place I want to see. There's friends that I miss that are watching over me. And I've got a list of questions, at least a country mile. But first things first, can I see my dog? Could you get my first truck running for a ride? Let me hop up in that shotgun, her head hanging out the side. Find that perfect field, maybe play some ball. Scratch her head and take her on a golden sunset walk. Lord, don't get me wrong, there's a lot I want to see. There's friends that I miss who've been watching over me. And I've got a list of questions, at least a country mile. First things first, can I see my dog? When you only get 13 years together, it's good to know a place they live forever. Lord, don't get me wrong, there's a lot I want to see. There are friends that I miss who've been watching over me. And I got a list of questions, at least a country mile. But first things first, but first things first, can I see my dog? So, as everyone here who knows, that's Jessica. That's the first thing. In fact, before she even checked out, she's saying, "Where's my dog? Where's my dog? I signed up to see my dog right now." And And so it says eulogy, and you see me and Jessica up there. That was our Halloween costume. And she is not like a zombie in the least, but she was just so proud of that costume. Just, she got to be somebody else other than herself. So I'm going to brag on Richard and I. Jessica loved everyone, and she went out and gave kisses to people and gave hugs, but she particularly liked us. She did. She would come up, Richard would be holding hands with Simone, and she would come up and give him a kiss right on the lips. And then Jessica introduced me to Brandy. And I went over to Jessica's house, and Brandy was there too. And then, so Brandy and I got together, and what happened? Jessica came and kissed me on the lips right in front of Brandy. So, I was here first, buddy. She would too. She didn't care. So the two of us, it's been commented that we look like old lovers or family members, siblings who argue with each other all the time, and that's accurate. That's accurate. We would go in someplace and just look at things and just start arguing. And back a long time ago, I don't remember what the occasion was, but she was a little bit under the weather, as she got now and again. And she said, I don't even know how it came up, but we got into this ritual of making dinners with each other. And we ended up doing it for a long, long time. It's like once a week, twice a week, depending on how she was feeling. And Jessica would never tell anyone that she was a cook. And so she would bring the ingredients, and then I would cook, and then she would stand or sit there on a stool while I was cooking and just talk to me. And then we would share food and go in the living room and watch TV, and the animals would come in and join us on the couch, and we'd all watch TV and have a good bit of food. And we did that for a long, long, long time, years, until Brandy. And she was saying, "What happened? I'm missing my meals." She did. That was what she said. "I'm missing my meals." So.
When me and Simone broke up, Jessica had made it a point to let me know that she had a crush on me. And when me and Simone broke up, I figured she'd be hitting on me. And she didn't. And I was so disappointed. What's up with that?
Yeah, I guess. So she has. Yeah, if you've walked by the tables outside, you have seen all of the things that she did, all of the activities that Jessica engaged in. She became a Reiki master and a Avatar master, and she always took it to the max. Whatever the highest rating of something, she would go for that. And then she would move on to something else. She wanted to learn everything. And she was really good about stuff too. On the conversations that we would have during our meals, she was always very intelligent, very proud of being able to handle complex ideas. And anyway, the thing that she did with Reiki was sort of her last hurrah. But I don't know how to describe it. I would come over, she would say, "Oh, I had a great session with somebody. You know, the angels appeared at their foot, and I was just I was at their head, and the angels just stood there. And then after she's finished the story, I say, do you realize what you just said to me? Do you realize that that's your common experience, that you're hanging out with angels? And she would do this over and over and over again, but she never thought it was a big deal. It's like, I wish I could talk to angels. I wish they would appear for me. And they do, but I just can't see them. But I was always, why aren't you more excited about this? And she was just kind of laissez-faire, just, yeah, the angels are hanging out with me. Anyway, and so she not only did Reiki with humans, but she did Reiki with animals. And so she would come to anyone who had an issue with their animal, but she also did horses. And she had a very strong connection with horses, and I don't have any idea why she didn't pursue that in the last few years, but whenever she did get a chance to be around horses, she was very, very connected. I took a video one time, and she was saying, "Oh, look," and she was pointing out these colors, and that for her that was these beings that were joining her and her horse as she was doing Reiki with it, which I thought was, I was there. I didn't see what she saw. This is kind of a funny thing. There's a number of people here who were at Jessica's 70th birthday party. There's a rug right outside the door that Jill had made for Jessica with pictures of her. But during that birthday cake, the whole thing, everybody's happy and everything. Then we sit down in a big circle, and we go around the circle. Well, tell us about your relationship with Jessica. Tell us something wonderful about Jessica. And we go around, and as we find, person to person, every single person had a little bit of argumentative aspect about something about Jessica. Well, I just love Jessica, and she's wonderful, except for that one time where she really got on my nerves. And it went around the room just like that, and she kept going, "What are you talking about? What are you talking about?" And that was her. We enjoyed that about her. So she had issues with her family like everybody does, but while she was doing Reiki and while she was having these visions of angels coming to her client, and she wasn't specific about who the angels might have been. She never said, like it's Archangel Michael or Uriel or anything, but she did say, my sister and my mother came to me during one of the sessions. And it was another one of those, oh yeah, laissez-faire. That's what happens in my life. My mother comes as a spirit and visits me, and then my sister comes, who she had passed also. And it was just, I was always amazed at that, how she could just take that for granted. If my father or my mother appeared, it would be, yay, party, yay, big deal. So this is sort of the hard one. This is in addition to being very happy, and we're very elated about being here to celebrate Jessica. Jessica had a good death, and I wanted people to know that. I wanted people to know that her friends were with her as she was in decline. She had some events where she had gone to the emergency room and left AMA, and she went back to another group of doctors, and they gave her a different assessment. Went to another group of doctors, different assessment. But we were following her right along. There was a bunch of us, Leanne, Debbie, Susan, me, Steve. Everybody wanted to know, how's she doing, what's going on. Anyway, so the last day, and so if you don't want to hear this, you just have to close your ears. I was touched, and I know it was me, but I had watched, or I had been near Harry Sparks as he had passed, and there were a number of people around him, and it was what I call a good death. that he was cared for. He was in a good headspace as he was transitioning to the next realm. Well, we had the same experience with Jessica when she was in the hospital. We were right there with her. We were trying to connect. She was a little bit out of sorts. She could look you in the eye, but she couldn't talk to you, except for Paul. She's in the hospital for 2 days, can't say a word to anybody, can't take care of herself. Paul walks in the door. Hi, Paul. None of the other of us could get a word out of her. Paul gets a hi. And then they stay there. Paul and Sue stayed there for a half an hour. As he's leaving, she says, "Goodbye, Paul." Unbelievable. But that's how she was. That sort of captures Jessica in the way. Anyway, so we're there in the hospital. She coded. We didn't know things were happening, and she coded. And the hospital has things that they have to do once that happens. But we were there, and then they moved her to ICU, and we were there, and they had put her on a ventilator. And we were there with her, and she wasn't quite there, if I had to say, and the doctors and the nurse were being very very positive about what they said. They didn't say, "Oh, she's been gone for a while," or "We don't think she's going to last," and they allowed us to be with her, and we were all around her, and Leanne was petting her arm, and Susan was touching her, and you were doing more than that, Susan. I mean, Debbie. And she was just taking it in. She was like looking at us. And then we sort of took the cue from the doctor and the nurse, and that was to say our goodbyes and to ask them to take the ventilator off, because she was scheduled for more rounds and rounds of blood testing and other situations, and we didn't want her to code again, where the hospital would have to go into their procedures, which we didn't like before that they had done already. But anyway, they pulled the ventilator, and the nurse explained to us how it was going to be, and we watched her take her last breath, and we were holding her as this happened and stroking her hair. And I don't know. The reason I'm telling you this is because good death is possible. You can be taken care of. You should not worry that transition is going to be difficult. I mean, the hospital, they had their things that they had to do, but as their friends, we cared for her. And I'm not getting an answer from her right this second, but I know she loved us being there, and we stayed with her after she had passed. And we were just still touching her and touching her hair and touching her hands. And anyway, I thought that was a good thing. Jessica died in a good way. And I think she died in her own way. She was kind of tired of things, kind of wasn't as optimistic as she could have been. And she kept getting hurts. She had fallen 2 or 3 years ago, and then she started looking back, and she had fallen a number of times throughout her life. And then the last thing that happened was she scraped her leg real bad, and that was the ball that got everything rolling. But she seemed content. She seemed happy with it. It wasn't out of sorts. She wasn't yelling at anybody. I mean, she did tell the nurses, as they were trying to put an IV in her, "I'll give you 1 stick, and then I'm leaving." And that was the way she was all the time. That sort of encapsulates her right there. So I know there's other people with stories, and I thought I'm telling stories, but I would like other people, if they would like to, share some of the things that have happened to them with Jessica, if they would like to.
Why don't you do your next song?
And then we'll get to that. That's on the schedule that way, okay?
All right.
So everybody knows this song, mostly. Yeah, Jessica loved the Beatles. She named her dog Abbey Road. But I remember this song when I was a kid, when I was 20-something, and everybody sang it. But back then it was like celebrating life, and I guess that's what we're doing now again. But this is In My Life, written by John Lennon, I think, and sung by Dee Dee Armin. There are places I remember all my life, though some have changed, some forever, not for better. Some have gone and some remain. All these places have their moments with lovers and friends. I still can recall. Some are dead and some are living. In my life, I love them all. But of all these friends and lovers, there is no one compares with you. And these memories lose their meaning when I think of love as something new. Though I know I'll never lose affection for people and things that went before, I know I'll often stop and think about them. In my life, I love you more. Though I know I'll never lose affection for people and things that went before, I know I'll often stop and think about them. In my life, I love you more. In my life, I love you more.
Thank you. Whoop. Need a microphone. Brandy's doing double duty back there. Okay, thank you, Dee and Richard. Jessica would love this service because it is so not traditional. And she would love that. You know, Jessica was my friend, and I think most of you will understand this, and Brandy coined this. She was also my frenemy. I remember the first time that Jessica came, it was either her birthday or the week of her birthday, and she was just so thrilled that her birthday got acknowledged. And, you know, she said, I don't know if you saw the video, but she cried through that whole first service, and she knew that this was her place. She and I met, as she said, for numerous times for years for counseling. And, you know, the thing about Jessica, and I would always tell her, because she just struggled so much, and I think the thing that Jessica struggled the most with was that she just could never really believe that people loved her, that people truly loved her and could be there for her. And I can't obviously divulge things that we talked about throughout the years, but the thing that I always got, no matter where she was at, and she was up and down, is she always worked her principles. And, you know, you look out there and you see all the certificates that she got. I mean, it's like what you talked about, and she always got to that highest level of whatever she did. But she would tell me, I listen to things in the morning. She had her affirmation. She journaled. So she was constantly doing her work, which I think really made such a difference in her life. She would come in sometimes on a Monday after Sunday, and she would be so mad at me for something that I said on Sunday that she didn't agree with. And it would be so comical because in the beginning I didn't know how to take this because I'd never had anybody be like mad at me, and she would be mad. I mean, and then we would talk, and we would finally get around to, you don't have to agree with everything. That's not what we're about. We aren't dogmatic here, and it would be just fine. But this happened over and over and over and over and over again, and there would be times when she would get mad at me for something I didn't even know she was mad at me, but she wouldn't come for a while, and then she would come back and she would tell me that she had been mad at me, but she'd forgiven me for something I didn't know that I even did. And finally, I have to admit that one day I finally just said, I can't do this anymore. I don't deserve to be treated that way. And so either you're in relationship with me and you treat me kindly, or we can't be in relationship. And that changed everything. And yeah, because I just didn't understand it. But I loved her. I loved her so much. And I loved her lightheartedness. She would come in sometimes just to sit down and talk. And I just loved that smile, and I loved her eyes when she would smile, and I loved her lightheartedness. I loved her desire to try and to do so many different things, and I loved her vulnerability, and I will miss her. I miss her now, and I will continue to miss her. So we do want to open it up to anybody that would like to share anything. I will be happy, or one of us, Dee, will be happy to bring a microphone around. I know that it's hard sometimes, but lean into Jessica's vulnerability, and because it's good to kind of hear the stories if you might have something to share.
For the sake of live stream, can we do it up front? We can't see the audience.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah. Okay, you're going to share. Awesome.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kat. There's a lot to say about Jess. A lot. So the thing that comes to me is Abe. Those of you who are part of Abraham Hicks. When I first moved here, I was really struggling because I had come from a really awesome church in Atlanta that I didn't want to leave because it was the first inclusive church I'd ever been in. And to my surprise, I had just literally come from Abraham Hicks, seeing her in Atlanta. And I come in, I'm like, oh my gosh, they have a Hicks class? Like, it was just such a sign. And so the memories I have with Jess in that class before I was having to work on Saturdays were a lot of Saturdays with her. Susan could tell a lot of stories, and Wendy and Elby. And it really, truly transformed my life. It really did. And I remember Jess would sit by me sometimes and pat me on the shoulder when she would see me, and just let me know as a single woman that she was there too. And she got it. And we had a lot of similar trauma, confidentially between the two of us. And it just was a deep connection. And the thing that Spirit, I wasn't doing so well when she transitioned because I wasn't ready, but who really is ready? But the thing that has come to me, and I have to tell you this funny story. Brady and I were at the pool about 2 months ago. And remember, I said she used to sit by me and pat me on the shoulder, right? And Brandy would say to me, Jess has been coming through to a lot of people. And I said, well, that's really cool. And we just had actually stopped the conversation. And Brandy was over here and I was here. And I felt like someone literally grabbed me on the shoulder. And I thought maybe someone else was there or just getting my attention. I was like, Brandy, what was that? And she was like, I didn't touch you. So it was obvious that Jess is with us, and I was blown away when the people that were cleaning out her house gave me some things. And one of the things that Jess did not know about me is that I'm a huge elephant lover. And Dee gave Brandy a necklace that they had found in Jess's house, and Dee was like, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do with this. And Brandy had it, and she didn't know that about me. And so she handed me the elephant necklace, and I have that to this day. And I also got a couple of her rocks that Mary made that are painted. But the thing that is so wonderful about it is you can literally feel her spirit and her power. And, people say, don't put your phone in your bra because it will give you cancer. But I put this rock in my bra all the time, just saying. And And the thing that some of you saw my post on Facebook, but Spirit obviously was majorly coming through to me the other day, and I wrote a post about her. And the thing that came to me was she did so many amazing things as a Reiki healer, but now she's a Reiki master. And death is not really death. It's a transition of consciousness. So, yeah, it's more for the people left, and we do have to grieve and mourn. However, she's with us more with the one heck of a download that we could ever process as a human. And I just want to encourage you, when you miss her, reach out to her. She's here. She's been with many people. And I am a little regretful that I didn't get to say goodbye to her. But what's goodbye? We don't believe that, right? It's not goodbye. It's a transition. And the dog thing was a big thing to me with her and Abby. And when I made this video, I literally was a blubbery mess the whole time. So I'm glad I got to make the video before today, because I was really a blubbery mess making this video. And just if you are interested, it will be back on our YouTube channel if you want to see it. However, this, just her energy is unique to many of us. But that's what's great about humans. We're all unique, and we all have our own power. And she left a really big imprint here on our church. And I just want to thank everyone who has stepped up and helped in this situation. And it's comforting as a single woman to know that when I transition, whenever that is, I won't be alone either. And that's awesome. So thank you. Namaste.
So, I wasn't going to do this. Hi, John. Hi, Amy. A lot of you read the little story I posted right after Jessica passed on the Unity Connection group page, but maybe some of you haven't, and so I thought I'd tell you that story again. I had a dream, and it was like a day or 2 days after she passed, and I haven't been remembering my dreams at all for years. I mean, it's rare when I remember a dream. And this one I remembered. When I was a little girl, I always, and I still would like to do this, find a pearl in an oyster. Can you imagine cracking open an oyster that you're going to eat? There's a frickin' pearl in it. How cool is that? Well, in this dream, I found a pearl. And it was not huge, but it was a pretty good sized one. And and the party went on. You know, I was at a party with a whole bunch of people, and the party went on. And oh my God, I lost the pearl. Where did the pearl go? Oh my God, I'm looking everywhere. I found the pearl. Oh, thank God, I found the pearl. Whew. So a little while later, during the party, the pearl disappeared, and it disappeared. It was gone. And it came to me that I didn't want to have the experience of finding a pearl and keeping it forever. I wanted the experience of finding the pearl. And I had that. And so I could let go of the fact that I lost it, because I actually had the experience of finding it. And I swear that had to come from Jessica, because there's so much in our lives that we think we've had and we lost and all this stuff. But no, damn it, we didn't ask to keep it forever. You know, we wanted the experience of having it for a little while. And we had it. And how fun is that? No regrets, you know, no regrets. I hope you guys will all stay for our party afterwards. About 2 weeks before she passed, she was still up and around and moving, you know, and we had no idea it was going to come to an end as fast as it did. And she said, Susan, let's get together, let's go to Bamboo and have spring rolls. And I said, okay, we'll do that. Well, so we're having some spring rolls from Bamboo as well as Mexican food so they flew the spring rolls into Mexico from Korea. I don't know. Anyway, I love you guys, and I know Jessica loves us all still. We're still all doing this together, even though it feels like she's moved across the world somewhere. Okay, I'm done.
You know, there was one aspect about Jessica that the relationship that she and I had was one when you come into metaphysics and you understand these amazing principles and they touch your heart and your mind and everything, and you know that that moving into the world of good and beauty and all of those things are really our nature and really who we are and where we want to focus. But yet some of us have been so broken by life, and most people, one of the hardest things for us is that most people are so, that broken part of you is almost like something that's nasty. It's like something that, you know, and particularly in the metaphysical world, it's almost like you're betraying metaphysics if you let any part of that show. And the thing about Jessica is that we could be our broken selves without feeling wrong. We could talk about feeling depressed without feeling like we had failed our faith. And there's something in that, because all of us have those things in our life, you know. It'd be nice to say, I got it, because in so many ways, yeah. But it was wonderful to just have somebody that I could be broken around without feeling wrong, without feeling alone. And that was Jessica.
Hi guys, some of you know me. I'm Chris Griffith at Intuitive Health Center. Hey, I see some faces I recognize. So anyway, I just wanted to mention Jessica, being her lovely self. I met her a few years ago, it seems like, at the Healing Arts Fair. And I did a session with her, and she's just a lovely lady. I learned what she does, and I extended to her the opportunity to continue to do what she does at my place, so she can see her clients. And the only thing she wanted to really focus on, which was mentioned earlier, is doing her horse Reiki. She's like, okay, that's all I want to do. I'm like, you know, you probably will get more business if you say horse Reiki and regular Reiki. and she didn't want to have anything to do with that. Eventually, though, I talked her into doing both. And then she kept saying to me that she said she doesn't feel balanced. She doesn't feel like she can do that quite yet. She wants to feel all right within herself, and then she can stretch it to others. So, you know, I guess the question was, I don't know why she didn't do the horse Reiki. She had an intent to. She just wanted to feel balanced before she did it. So anyway, by the way, she definitely is here. And I saw her as they were singing. She was going like this and just all excited. She said, it's not perfect, but it's beautiful. That's what she said. But yeah. Anyway, well, thank you.
Oh, God, I really wasn't going to come here. I have no right to be up here. I had very little time with her. The few times that I met her were at some of the Abraham meetings mostly, and we were the last ones left and had the opportunity to be alone. Anybody that ever had time with her felt a total, authentic, powerful presence. What I am here to say is thank you, Jessica, because I didn't go to the hospital. I was like too busy, and I didn't think it was really going to happen. And she was kind of negative, and I'm like, God, that's what she gave me, that you can be loved by people and you can be authentically all of the whole human package, and people can learn to be okay not being perfect and feeling loved in all of their humanness. So I just had to own my little bit of shame here and say that that's the lesson that's so powerful, that she gave me this huge lesson as I've gone through this time with her and without her. So thank you.
It's always interesting when I come to these because I always learn something new about the person. And it's almost amusing to me that she had the whole, it was really confrontational. It seems to be like a little bit of a theme. She never showed that to me, so I thought that was so interesting. She was just kind of a marshmallow with me. And I've always found her to be very kind, very open-hearted, very loving. And funny. I think one of the last things I remember her saying to me the other day was, if you and your husband ever go out of town, I really feel a connection with Colin. And so if you ever go out of town, I'll just stay with him. and she was like, no, really, go out of town because I really want to stay with your son. But, it was just interesting because I never saw that confrontational side and all that kind of thing. She was just kind of a marshmallow with me. She was just so sweet. She did talk about her angels a lot, and I loved that too. So just a really sweet experience with her.
Well, there's no doubt that she knows how loved she was. At this, and she knew when she was in the hospital, surrounded by her loving friends and all the people that came, and there's no doubt that she knows that now. So in these last moments of remembrance, we also do want to acknowledge the transformative power of grief and loss, because it is natural for the human part of us to grieve that loss. And I know Jessica would want us to be happy, but she was very authentic, and she would have shown her sadness in any of our passing. So let us release also any feelings of guilt or regret that we could have done something differently. Instead, let's focus on the beautiful memories that we shared, the laughter that we enjoyed, and the great love that we exchanged. And as we let go of that, we make space for the light of our beautiful Jessica's soul, her spirit to shine brightly within us. She is not lost to us, as we know, but rather she has transcended the limitations of the physical body, entering a realm of boundless love, wisdom, and peace. And she, as we know, is absolutely with her dog, Abby. So I'm going to invite you once again to join me in a moment of prayers. We say, Mother, Father, God, we thank you for the time that we had with Jessica in her earthly life, and we bless her as she continues on her journey beyond this physical realm. We celebrate seeing that smile and seeing her in her absolute joy with her dog, Abby. So I'm going to invite us just to take a moment in the silence to bring that beautiful image of Jessica up. Just send her love, send her gratitude, whatever is in your heart. Just take a moment in the silence to be present to her. And Jessica, the light of God surrounds you, the love of God enfolds you, the power of God protects you, and the presence of God watches over you. For where you are, God is, and truly all is well. I have to tell you, I'm not one to to get messages, but all of a sudden I could just see her, and she's just in her joy that so many of us are here today celebrating her. I could just feel her presence and her energy so big in those moments of just like she is here in her joy of that. So this does conclude our service for today. We do want to invite you to join us in Fellowship Hall. Bobby Demler has prepared a wonderful meal for us, and there are all kinds of, there's some jewelry out there, there's some pictures, and the idea is that if something speaks to you, that you would take that home with you as something to have of Jessica. So thank you all for being here today. Come out and join us in the fiesta.
The energy in this church is so different from so many places. And I really do believe it's the openness, it's the open arms, it's the love. Welcome. We're so glad you're here. Welcome home.